Outstanding. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and get started. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you're located, and welcome to the April 2024 PowerShell Community Call, where everyone is welcome to join and discuss the PowerShell project and its development. Hey, we have an action-packed agenda today, and I posted that agenda into the chat session along with some additional notes. Please feel free to post questions in the discussion issue or here in this meeting chat. We'll do our best to follow those. And if you haven't, please take a look at our code of conduct. That's the one thing we take seriously. So with that, let's go ahead and dive in with our agenda. So several folks from the PowerShell team attended the PowerShell DevOps Summit last week, and we wanted to take this opportunity to kind of share the experience and have some folks that were at the summit share this experience as well. It was a very unique and amazing experience, and it gets me all excited for PSConf EU. So this morning, what I'd like to do, if we could, is start with a couple of the organizers from PowerShell Summit. James Petty and Missy Janusko. Now, I don't know who's going to go first or if you guys want to just kind of do this in tandem, but without spoiling what you have to chat about, I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much for a great conference. And I have to say, it was probably one of the best summits that I've ever been to. So really enjoyed it. So let me go ahead and open up the floor to James Petty and Missy Janusko, and they can talk a little bit about the summit as well. You guys there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure can.
All right, I'll let Missy go first.
Oh, all right. First of all, I just want to say a great big thank you to a couple of folks. Thank you to our sponsors for the event. Without them, we could not put the quality of event on that we do. Thank you to our speakers for bringing your ideas to life on the stage. Thank you to the PowerShell team for being there and checking in with all your fellow attendees. Thank you to our volunteers who helped us do some couple of things like set up and tear down and manning the booth with questions. And lastly, thank you to our attendees for bringing all of your ideas together and having those great technical discussions deep into the wee hours of the morning.
Hey, Missy, were those sessions recorded?
Yes, they were. They will be available on YouTube on the PowerShell.org YouTube channel, probably within about, I'd say 30 to 60 days.
Outstanding, outstanding.
Yeah, I know a lot of our attendees for the first time in a really long time had session anxiety. Like they could not decide which session to go to because you can only be in one place at once. And they're like,
I had
don't
that
worry,
same session
they're
anxiety.
Or even the times when you wanted to watch all 4 sessions at once, which happened quite a few times. So I've been attending Summit since 2016, and this is, I think, the best one that I've been to in a really long time.
Well, James, for you, how did the show overall turn out, do you think? How were attendees and all of that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Oh, the attendees are great. Every expectation we had was completely blown out of the water. The PowerShell community is just an amazing community, unlike any other. Like Missy said, literally till I won't name names, but some people stayed up till 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning sometimes, just chatting and having a great time. We closed down the bar every night at 1 o'clock. And it's not just a few people. There were dozens of people that they had to say go home every night. And the same people that were up until 1, 2 o'clock in the morning were there at 7 o'clock having breakfast and continuing the conversations that they had from a couple hours ago. It was just fantastic. And also the speakers who ran out of time during Q&A during their sessions, they just keep bringing that session out into the hallway or down into our open spaces room that we had in it. And the conversations just kept going. They never stopped.
That's awesome. Well, you two stay around and stick around. Feel free to chime in and join in with additional thoughts and all of that kind of stuff. One of the things we also wanted to do was bring on one of the attendees to the session. And Matthew, are you there?
I am. I'm right here.
Well, Matthew, why don't you go ahead and why don't you go ahead and say a few words and all that?
I don't know if you picked the right attendee. There are people who know me, and Stephen, I think, said, yeah, there's no time constraint, and that was a mistake that you'll only make once, I think. Hi, everyone. I'm Matthew Gill. This is my second summit. I was at 2023, and I was at 2024, and this is, James, I think you said, you said that this is an unconference. That was how you kind of touted it. It's an unconference or a non-conference or a non-ference. I just kept making things up as I went along there. Because it's completely unlike any other conference that I've ever been to. I've been to the big neon extravaganza, vendor wine and dine sort of, oh, it's in Vegas next to the Sphere and it's really cool and you won't remember that night. And yeah, but what I'm seeing at that conference, at those conferences, it's not real. It's hey, here's a thing that we're going to try to sell you. We're going to wine and dine, try to get behind that, and get some momentum there. And then it's never going to work in your environment the way it works in our perfect little demo world. At Summit, you're rubbing elbows with like the greats at Microsoft, the greats in the community. You're rubbing elbows with people that have written books, that are writing books, that are co-authoring a lot of these things. You might not even realize because we live in a world of avatars, right? You never see the actual face. I think Corey, I think said it. It's a good chance to put like the little icon that you see to the actual person, which is totally true, because no one's actually a cartoon. And you're talking with these people and you finally have that moment. I know I had that moment with I don't know if Fred's on the call, but I had that moment where I'm talking to Fred and I said, yeah, we're actually going to move to basic dependency of framework for these things. And he goes, oh, thank you. And in my head I go, that was weird. Why would you say thank you to that? That doesn't make any sense. And then as we continue to discuss it, I go, I look at his name tag and I go, oh, got it. This is truly an amazing experience. It's more than a conference or an unconference. It's an experience. It is a retreat. It is a wholesome, just sort of community event. I think James, it may have been you. It's like a big user group meeting, and that is totally true. It will get you out of your shell. No pun intended, right? Out of your shell. If you are very shy, Jason, this is me, man. This is how it works. It'll get you out of your shell. If you're shy, no color, no matter the color of the wristband that you were wearing, it's going to excite you. It's going to confuse you. It's going to challenge you in all the best ways, and it gives you the opportunity. To really showcase what you've done. There was Phil Bossman does the lightning demo round, and everybody says it. If you're not presenting and you don't think that you've got something to show, you do. Everyone's got something to show. It doesn't matter, big, small, practical or impractical, funny or not, you've got something to show. So whether or not you gave a session or you gave a lightning demo or you just rotated around, sort of revolved around at breakfast and lunch and at the social events and talked to different people the entire time, you drank from the fire hose this past week. It was an exhausting week. I think, James, you have it on the site, Max Out Your Brain. You max out your brain at Summit. You go full, you're a teetotaler on PowerShell when it comes to that. So Summit is only getting better. Again, there you go. It's only getting better. I don't know how it used to be, but in my time, it's only gotten better. I have routinely shown back up to work, more invigorated, more excited, more rejuvenated. It's like I go to a PowerShell spa. It is amazing. So if you didn't get to go to Summit, figure it out. Figure it out next year. There's some other things out there, right, that aren't the same, but they're similar, right? Like there's SQL Saturdays. There's like James in Chattanooga. There's on the river or whatever there is. I mean, there's other things out there that approximate towards it, that trend toward it. But Summit's really the place to be. And if you can get to ConfU, that'd be amazing. I don't know that I'm going to make it, but it'd be really great. It's just the best.
Hey, Matthew, was it your first time presenting this year?
I presented last year. I presented the diary system. That's gotten 0% love since then because you just get caught up. I've got 4 kids. I was talking about. I got 4 kids. So keeping my brain on track is. You think I'm scattered, now because I'm just me? No. 4 kids, right? So I had built this thing and I had showed it off last year, just kind of as an aside to keep track of things at work because who wants to use OneNote, right? And I haven't done that again, but that was the first thing I presented, and then I did submit three um, 3 sessions for this one, but I was also on the content team, and all of the sessions that were submitted that got accepted were so much better. It was sort of like it was the best way to not get selected because I knew it was coming. And I got to see that, like, yes, like it's the session anxiety is super real. I would say to that, the sessions are going to be recorded. Go to the ones that you absolutely have to see right now, and then watch the recorded ones. But the hallway track is invaluable. We don't record the hallway track, so being able to go to the social lounge at the hallway track, talk to the vendors who know what they're doing, right? We didn't get the people that just sell the product to show up at Summit, right? We've got the people that actually know what they're doing. They actually are programming or coding, or you could flip your laptop around and sort of showcase what you're doing. They can comment on that, and they're fun to be around. So I apologize, Missy. uh the hallway track was great. So I mean, I went to probably 8 sessions or so, um because I mean, you're always missing ones you want to see. So no, it wasn't my first time presenting a lightning demo. I had expanded. I'm not saying I had material for 45 minutes because I didn't rehearse anything anyway, but probably could have gone for 45 minutes on that lightning demo. So
I'm in need
Oh,
of your
that's
lightning demo, so
do you
yeah, and
do
I just want to
you,
say,
do you
Matthew,
need
that
nursing wear, or do you just want the lightning demo again?
I too belong to a clothing cult that does like drops in the middle of the night. So
Yeah,
a
yeah,
Shopify API would be gold.
awesome. I'm sorry, Jason, you were saying.
no, I was just saying that and Missy was referring to it. The lightning demo that you did at this year's summit was outstanding. So thank you so much, and your enthusiasm is contagious. And I just want to shout out Ryan Yates brought this out. Oh yeah, we've already been talking about this. Is getting me all excited for PS Conf EU. So this is awesome. Thank you so much, Matthew, for sharing. Please feel free to stick around and jump in. Also, and I haven't, Stephen, maybe you could help me. Is Aspen here today? Folks, I wanted to also, if we could, bring someone on from the PowerShell Summit in North America also has something called an on-ramp. And this is for folks that are earlier in their careers and are getting started with PowerShell and a lot of other things. I mean, remember the first day you were introduced to Git or Markdown, stuff like that. It can be kind of overwhelming at first. And so um, we definitely appreciate the fact that Summit runs this on-ramp session for folks. And I think we might have someone here from that on-ramp that might be able to say a few words. Aspen, are you here today?
Aspen is here.
Awesome. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Awesome, awesome.
So hi, my name's Aspen. I work for Western Washington University on our help desk, and was encouraged to attend OnRamp as someone who does a lot of poking PowerShell and then a lot of banging my head against a wall, and asking people questions until I find out that this thing that I thought that I was really trying to find a complicated answer for already has a built-in answer to some module or another. Um, And so yeah, OnRamp was a really great experience for getting started. It was like drinking from a fire hose for sure, and was being hit with a lot of information all at once, but it was all very helpful, particularly for tools that are out there. And even if it was something that I didn't fully grasp onto in the session, knowing it exists, knowing there are people who support it. So things like Pester. I also I hadn't set up a GitHub account. So it made me do that. Um, and that's already been really helpful. Learning more about Markdown. There was a session on that. And we were asked, like, has anybody heard of or like used Markdown? And I was like, no. And as we got into talking about it, I was like, oh, yes, all the time. I just did not know that's what it was called in this particular setting. And I also really enjoyed getting to have some sessions on things that are not directly applicable to the work that I do, like Ansible and Docker and containers, and just the overall concept of what is DevOps, as those are things that surround the worlds that I am in, but are not things that I often work on directly. So that context was definitely very helpful. Um, and yeah, just being able to be at a PowerShell conference and getting to participate in those hallway chats was very helpful. Also, I think that the on-ramp schedule was the same as the main conference in terms of the timing of breaks and lunches and everything was really amazing to be able to connect with people and find people who work on the things I'm interested in or just listen and absorb as much as I possibly could. And yeah, I also wanted to give a shout out to that on-ramp does scholarships for a handful of folks. I was a scholarship recipient and would not have been able to go to this conference without that. So that was amazing to just have things taken care of and be able to attend and take a huge step in my career, just by spending a week learning and engaging with people and with PowerShell.
That's awesome, Aspen. And I admire your courage for going to the on-ramp. And that's a lot to take on all at once. And what amazing courage coming on and talking about it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And glad you had a great event for that. Folks, I've also known so many other friends that I got to spend some time with last week, like my buddy JB Lewis and John Janelle, that kind of stuff. One of the things, though, that I want to point out is that we, as the PowerShell team, really, really were impressed and overwhelmed with feedback. That's exactly the experience we want, is we want you to be able to talk to us and tell us about this pain, this problem. I love this, I don't love that. That was awesome. And we got amazing feedback from you. And to kind of talk about our perspective on the show, Stephen Booker is going to say a few words. Hey, Stephen.
Hey, Jason. I don't know how I can follow those last presenters there, because I think they summed up this this summit pretty well. But I just wanted to kind of share another heartfelt thank you from the PowerShell team to the community there and the community who is here today. The community engagement is invaluable to us as the product drivers and the team figuring out how to make this product better for you. And it's something that we equally get excited about, are seeing people use it and seeing the excitement they have and the impact that PowerShell has in their own jobs. And so it is such an amazing honor to be able to spend time with the people who are in the front line, so to speak, with PowerShell and DevOps community. And it's been just a wonderful time. We did a number of presentations on the stuff that we're working on, so those will be available on the recordings and stuff. But yeah, wanted to keep it short and simple, but just wanted to big thank you and big thank you to the community. That's all I'm trying to say, I guess.
So with that, please feel free
shout
to
out to Matthew's 3D printed thing. I forgot I had this next to me, but there's some 3D printed. There's so many 3D printed fun little arts, 3D printed PowerShell logo stuff that was going around this summit. So hopefully the STLs will get populated in the community channels. So
I was talking with James about that yesterday, about how we're just terrible at uploading things that we remix and we build. So it's happening, I promise.
Oh, that's awesome. Hey, Neil, I saw you with your hand. Do you have something you wanted to say real quick?
Oh no, I was failing to show off my PowerShell logo.
Oh, awesome. That's great. Well, please feel free to have more comments and conversation about getting together in the community like we did last week. And I just want to remind everybody that soon to be coming up is the PowerShell conference in Europe, in the EU. So very excited about that as well. And what I'd just like to do for one quick second is all of the folks here that have spoken today and all of the organizers and the hard work that they've done, just a round of applause to y'all, because deep appreciation for everything that you've done this time. So that's awesome. Now, back to business. So a couple of more items for this community call. This is going to be a good one. Steve, you want to talk about a DSC v3 update?
Absolutely. I'm not doing a demo today, but I kind of give a pre-announcement. This will probably happen next week. We're planning on getting our next release of DCV3 out. So the big news here is we're shifting from an alpha phase to a beta phase. So it will be preview 7. And some of you who've been following along may be wondering, hey, we had alpha 5, we have now a preview 7 coming out. What happened to 6? So the short answer is that I was testing publishing a MSIX package of DCV3 to the Microsoft Store. And because I did that as a version 6, the store requires you to increment the version. So I've kind of used up that version number. So we're skipping 6 and going to 7. So that also means that one of the things that you'll hopefully see next week is that you'll get DCV3 for Windows in the Microsoft Store. So you can install it that way. And we'll also have preview and stable channels. Obviously, there won't be a stable release until we get to GA of 3.0, but we'll have previews coming out hopefully around every month or so. After that, I do have a whole session on DCV3 at PSConf EU for those who will be there. I'll probably, since that's in June, I might also start having some other content maybe by next community call on DCV3 itself. There's been a lot of changes on both the configuration side and also for resource authoring. So there's a lot of content to cover. And I know Mikey's been shifting also from reference documentation to more like tutorials. So hopefully all that will come out around the same time. And hopefully we can see more community members participating, giving us feedback before we really lock down the design. That's pretty much it.
That's outstanding. And for folks that weren't there, there was a super amount of interest last week in DSC. This is a great time to follow along what's going on the repo and to start getting into the conversations, because this is the time when it matters the most. So as we're making that shift to beta, this is awesome. Talk to Steve, talk to the team, talk to Mikey. This is a great opportunity for configuration management. Thank you, Steve. And with that, we have something about ACR support. I at the moment is it Azure Container Registry. There are so many TLAs floating around today that I'm getting a little bit slow. But Amber, maybe you can tell us what this is about.
Yes, it is. It is Azure Container Registry. So hi, everyone. I'm Amber. For those of you who don't know, I'm on the PowerShell team. I work on PS Resource Get. And I'm actually just going to do a quick demo today on our latest release of PS Resource Get. It's 1.10 Preview 1. And this is a fun release because we do now have support for private ACR instances. And that's kind of fun because you can make your own private gallery in ACR. We have this here. This is just a test repository for PS Resource Get. Down here in repositories, this is kind of an overloaded term. So in the ACR sense, repositories is actually going to be where our modules are located. You can see here, this is just a random AZ module. We have our module names, our module versions here, and I'm going to do a quick demo on how PS Resource Get now interacts with this. So I have my ACR repo registered already. We have this URI, which is actually just in the overview panel here. It's the login server URL. So that's actually what we're going to be using for the URI. You can see here now we have this new API version, container registry. You don't need to worry about that. PS Resource Get just automatically picks that up and registers that, but just something to note. So now we can just publish. This is just a really simple test module. We're going to publish this to ACR. See if that's finished. Still working on it. Taking a little bit of time. So if we search for this package, might need to refresh. There we go. So we have our community call demo. We've got this version, nothing there before, but you can see that here it's 9:57, just got published. This is what the manifest looks like. So we're actually using OCI artifacts, but publishing the NUPCAG. So that's actually going to be what's stored. Our metadata is right here. So not very human readable, but it is PS Resource Get readable, and that's kind of all that matters. This is, again, just the manifest, all the information there. If we go back to PS Resource Get, we can do a find PS resource. We'll do community call demo. Just to make this go a little faster, I'm going to specify the repository. And then we've got our module there. We can do a quick install as well. And then if we do a get installed PS resource. Okay, we've got that there. And then actually just print out the entire object just to see everything. So properly getting all of the metadata that's stored in the manifest, parsing it out into the object, and effectively acts the same way as it would with any other repository like the PS Gallery, any ADO repositories. So that is that. One other thing that I wanted to mention, I think is kind of cool. There's this cache section here. So you can actually create rules to pull from upstream, like external repositories, which is kind of neat. And that's pretty much it for the private ACR registries. We are also working in PS Resource Get to provide support for public ACR registries. Another big one is MAR, which is Microsoft Artifact Registry, which is effectively Microsoft's public ACR instance. Further down the road, we're also planning on providing support for external container registries like Amazon's Elastic Container Registry. So be on the lookout for that as well. If this interests you at all, please check it out. Let us know how it's working for you. If there's anything that you want to see support for, if there's anything you don't like, just let us know. We are not necessarily dumping all of our efforts into the container registry work. We're still working on other bugs and issues in PS Resource Get, but we are really excited about this work. So we'd love to get any feedback and just love to hear from you guys about it. So that's about it. I will pass it back to you, Jason.
Thanks, Amber. That is awesome. That is great. Congratulations. That's amazing.
Almost
every every community call, we start to round things out with an update from my friend Sean Wheeler on Docs. So Sean, why don't you jump in and say hello? By the way, thanks for last week. Everybody's telling me it was great to have you around.
It was a wonderful time. I had a blast and made a lot of new friends. And I see a lot of names in this meeting that I recognize from Summit last week. So great to see everyone. So just to pile on to what's already been talked about, Lots of updates coming in DSC v3. Mikey's been cranking away on the documentation. As always, check the changelog here. You get to this from the PowerShell docs. You can go to the DSC page here and switch to version 3, and you'll see all the documentation. For PS Resource Get, we've updated the article here about supported repositories to talk about the Azure Container Registry. And under How To here, we have more detailed information about working with container registries. Over in Azure PowerShell, there's a lot going on. Check out the what's new. Want to point out a few things. There's some breaking changes coming. One of them is security related. There's a feature for a security warning where Azure PowerShell and Azure CLI will display a warning message if there's a secret being disclosed in the output. That's going to be turned on by default with the 12.0 release of Azure PowerShell, but that is configurable. You can turn that off. There's an article here about protecting your secrets, and that goes into this functionality and tells you how to turn that off. And then the other new article is something that there's been a lot of requests for, doing an offline installation of Azure PowerShell on the various platforms. So step by step how to download the package, extract it, and get it installed when your target machine is not internet connected. So take a look at that if you need to. And continue with the security theme. I've reorganized our security content in the PowerShell documentation so that it's all in one place now. So we had these articles about the security features and using application control in one area, and then preventing script injection attacks and restricted remoting sessions. We're in another place, and then all of our PowerShell remoting stuff is very security oriented. So now you can find it all in one place for easier access. And we'll be adding to this content as things go along. And that's my docs update.
Outstanding. Thank you, sir. That's amazing. Yeah, and as Sean's kind of pointing out, not that you need something else on your list, but now's a really good time to focus on your security. Oh, I see Steven has popped up. What's up, bro?
Hey, I just wanted to, before we get into the demos and stuff for the community, I wanted to do two things. First, not to put Ryan on the spot, but Ryan, did you want to give a little bit of a shout out to PSConf.eu? If you're here.
Yeah, so PSConf.eu obviously has been running now since 2016. It previously was organized by the same team that run the PowerShell and DevOps Summit. Jason, I think you remember those years, many years ago.
Yep.
They were overtaken with Tobias Weltner and now Gail Kolas, Alexander Nikolic, Rob Sewell, and various others from the community. You know, a lot of people behind the scenes and sponsors and speakers from all over the globe, and it's Europe's premier event. It's one that I'm very proud to have helped out in the past, but I'm very proud that it's still going very strong. I think it's going to be a lot of fun for those that can attend. I would like to be able to attend this year, but I don't think that's going to be possible, unfortunately. So best of luck to everybody going, and I know you will have fun because it's a well-organized event, just like the US Summit is as well.
Yeah, and I've had a chance to talk with many of the organizers for the European Summit, Gail Kolas and Ryan Yates, and a lot of folks that helped to build that. It is an amazing conference. So definitely huge shout out to them and their hard work, and looking forward to it in a big way. So you said you had two things. What else did you have?
Yeah,
Present it.
and no, I do have another thing, but I'll say also to the PSConf EU piece before we completely move off of that. We're very excited to be going. Myself, Damien, Steve, Amber, and then we have representation from the Machine Config and the Azure Arc team coming, as well as Winget, and then I might be missing one more. I'm probably missing one more, but that's the general representation we will have at PSConf EU. So we're very excited to be having presentations and participating in that conference again this year. So the second thing I kind of want to talk about, just because it's been awesome seeing the chat going on in the or all the buzz going on in the chat with kind of stuff around converting and asking all sorts of these fun questions around different modules and stuff. One thing I talked about at Summit to folks is that these community calls, we really like to have them be a very open space for demoing and basically an equivalent to kind of the lightning demos that you had at Summit. So if you went to Summit, you're familiar with the lightning demos, but basically we want to use this platform here for anyone to share anything that they're working on with PowerShell. If it's just something little that's really helped out their work, or if it's something that they've been working on for a long time, anyone is welcome to share the little scripts that they're making. I mean, it was really the lightning demos are widely successful at the Summit conferences, and we understand it's daunting to present to a large group, but I was gonna say 9 times out of 10, but I feel like it's almost 10 times out of 10. Every session, every lightning demo, there's someone else who's like, oh yeah, that's something I need, or that's something that can be useful, right? So I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit briefly about that. So we can, you're welcome to pre-populate the agenda around that, or if it's something that's coming up in the chat right now, you're more than welcome to just kind of hop on and give a brief, 5-minute demo. But yeah, I think that's kind of all I had there.
That's awesome.
Let me check I think right now, I know James, you want to maybe take 5 minutes to talk about some Docker and PowerShell stuff? Do you want to?
Yeah, if we got the 5 minutes, it also seems kind of on topic with where we've just been, showing stuff. So do we want to?
Go for it.
All right. Well,
We'll wrap it up with you, buddy.
Oh, I don't know about that pressure. Let's see if I can actually screen share. Looks like not quite yet.
Hang on.
That's okay. You can all see it with blurry text, right? If I turn on my camera. So I got to say, like, the best one-liner is still on the screen, and I'm not going to get rid of it now. Yesterday, I was getting ready for my condo meeting, and I realized I'd had a little bit too much fun with Docker because my box was at 90% memory. I got 64 gigs of memory, so 90% memory, I'm really hurting it. Go ahead. Is it ready?
Sorry, I'm just like, we can't see it. I'm still trying to find your name, so.
I got it. I think.
Maybe. You got it? Okay, cool. Thank you.
All right.
Helped with that.
It's working now.
That's a lot better.
It's working? Cool. We can all see it. Okay, so yeah, yesterday I realized I was absolutely killing my box with Docker, and I had a meeting starting in a minute. And, luckily I've got this whole PowerShell module that let me run this evil one-liner. Docker container ls, pipe to Docker container stop. Now, right now I'm not running any Docker containers. So let's go Docker run interactive. Okay, I'm not gonna pick that one. That one's too cool. Let's go ahead and go for UGit. I don't need privileged either. And let's do it the GHCR way, because that one's on UGit. We're on GHCR. Can't find an image locally, it's going to go grab it. And if you're not already familiar with Docker, Docker is a containerization platform. It's basically letting you run code within a box. This is really great for PowerShell because we get out of the code injection fear. Because if you're running it in a box with nothing else on it, what's there to pwn? So here I am inside of this box here, and I can get module. UGit is already loaded, and I'm just going to go ahead and git clone github.com PowerShell. I'm going to show off in a little bit of UGit functionality in a second. I'm going to actually say git clone nothing. And tab completion should be my friend eventually. That did a really fast clone of a sparse checkout. So if I go into PowerShell here, it actually still has nothing. I could do more Git demonstrations, but we're on Rocker here, not Git. Let's go out of our instance here for a second. So one thing that can be annoying about Docker is, well, just some of how you pass PowerShell commands to it. So one of the things that Rocker does is it allows you to pass a script block. I might as well show my loaded modules in there too. So here is a box running nothing but basically core modules and UGit. Fantastic, love it. It gets a little bit more interesting if we go ahead and push it to a branch build. So let's be really brave for a second here, and let me go grab another link. What I've been doing is I've been bringing every build that I'm doing into Docker. So if you actually look at any of the projects that have this, they will already have packages, whether they're fully out the door or not. We're just publishing a branch build. I'm doing a lot of Webby related, Docker related features in the next pipe script. So let's go ahead and try to demonstrate that and a cool Rocker feature at the same time. Before we get too far ahead of ourselves though, let's do some basics. Tab completion, totally a thing. Because I go pre-read all of the Docker help so that you can tab through it. So no more, what the hell is that switch again? Use PowerShell, use Docker, use Rocker, it's great. But we get really fun when we start to do something like, well, if I just ran this, I wouldn't have its web server available to me because it's not published. If I wanted to do this old school, I could do something like P1180 or publish 1180. Or I can use some PowerShell. Okay, so I'm going to try to publish this container on port 1001. Okay, it's running my job. I'm going to go ahead and localhost 1001. It yelled at me because I used HTTPS. 1 second, and pop that over. And Control C. Hey, now I'm in my instance. Look, still running. And exit my instance. And it's gone now. And it gets even better because I can just go ahead and really easily just, again, tab completion for the win, detach. Not detach keys, just detach. All right, and giving it another sec, and we should be back up. Page isn't working right now because it's taking a little second to come up. Sorry there. But I got one more for the road for you. One of the other things that's a big pain in the butt in Docker is mounting directories. And one of the things we have also been talking about on this call is, well, working with 3D objects. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go to one more branch build here. And we're going to check out PS3D. And it's going to go say, hey, I need to give that update 2 places. There we go. Copy that. So we're going to go run interactive PTY, and we're also going to go say current directory equals mount. Everybody have a pretty good idea of what this is going to do, right? easier than remembering the Docker command line format, right? All right. So if I dir into mount, I should have probably done this in the directory for PS3D for maximum effect, but we'll go there in a second. Let's go ahead and say, oh, invoke OpenSCAD test.scad. Now, notice I'm not having to install OpenSCAD. That's already on the Docker image. So I've got a Docker image here with OpenSCAD, PowerShell, Slicer, and a nice library or two. Completely isolated box turns PowerShell into 3D. Another completely isolated box turns PowerShell into a little UGet box. Another completely isolated box turned it into a MIDI web server. Are we all getting where containers could be really awesome for PowerShell? Cool. So I am really excited overall about getting my feet even more wet with Docker. I'm also excited about this little UGet for Docker project, Rocker, which is what I've been demonstrating today. Go ahead and install and import. There are some examples, help make this module a little bit better. It is young. I'm also really looking forward to what will happen once we fully containerize every single module that exists, because that means we can put any module that exists safely in its own isolated web service, and it can play with all the other ones completely securely. Because again, if you happen to manage to code inject, congratulations, you've code injected into a box. You have code injected into a cage. You are not escaping from that. So I am absolutely loving Docker and PowerShell. I think that it rocks. I think the future here is bright. And I haven't had as productive of a week after Summit that I can remember, because it's just been like, it's finally clicked. I'm getting deeper into Docker and I'm Dockerizing everything. And I want you to all join me. Make your modules run in containers, make them little mini services, and let's see if we can take over the frickin' world.
That's awesome, James. Thank you
Mic
so
drop.
much. And I have to say, I'm a huge container fan, especially of creating work containers for secured workspaces. I do this all day long. Very interesting direction you have going there. So thank you so much. And I think I've been checking to see if we had any questions or additional things. So we are going to end this show just a tiny bit early this month. I want to thank everyone for allowing us to talk about our experiences at the summit. What a great experience it was to be together and to share information. And from our perspective, what a great time for us to get feedback. So if you're asking yourself the question, does my idea matter? And do I have anything to share? The answer is yes and yes. So please come to the repo, come to the community call, come to a conference, talk to us, email us, chat with us, whatever you'd like to do in order to convey your ideas. We want to hear them. So thanks, everyone. It's an honor to be in the community with you. And I hope you have a wonderful month. And we'll see you next month for more PowerShell goodness. Cheers, everybody.